Hi, we are Ian,
Andrés, Paco, and Julio.
and we're going to talk about the bias in South Korea. 안녕하세요. Okay, so the type of bias called contrast effect is an unconscious bias that happens when we judge two different things at the same time in comparison to one another instead of being assessed in individual ways. Our perception is altered once we start to compare things to one another. We tend to judge them relative to each other rather than on their own merit. As for example, in our video, in cases of Asian people, when we see an Asian person, we try to find out from where do they come, either China, Japan, or Korea, but they're all different between them in different ways. Contrast effect can occur also at different points in time. I may compare something that I'm looking right now to something that I looked at yesterday. This effect can be both conscious and unconscious, since we are not being aware that we're making a comparison. Thanks.
Okay, now, in our society, there is also the beauty bias. But what is the beauty bias? It's the idea that someone is privileged because they are pretty, good looking, or attractive. It's not usually something that we talk about much, but it's out there. A study suggests that people make major decisions based on how attractive other people look. But the beauty bias in South Korea is a very common phenomenon in our society. South Korean culture places a high value on physical appearance, and many people, especially women, feel pressure to meet certain beauty standards. The beauty bias in South Korea is also reflected in the fashion, television, and media industries, where models and actors are often selected by their physical beauty and not solely for their talent. In short, beauty bias in South Korea is a social problem that affects men and women by equal and can have negative effects on people's mental health and self esteem.
On the other hand, let me introduce you to the horn bias. The horn bias is a cognitive process in which a negative attitude is immediately attributed to you based on your physique, on your actions, or in your character. As you well know, every culture carries with it a meaning behind the things in which practicing or sharing them is very valuable. In our case, the food is very important because through a dish we can share our culture and it's a way of success or decline. Based on the aforementioned, I want to share that in our culture, society, and new community, this bias is very present, since not having a knowledge of it and ignorance that may exist with this dish and this meaning, there may be a bad understanding by what can be a attribute or a bad attitude to our community or a regression for the new people.
What about another bias? Here in South Korea, we also have the intuition bias. Intuition bias could be mean as a tendency to overemphasize their intuitions and to not follow them, even when they should not. This intuition bias leads to several kinds of specific intuitive biases and decisions. This relates with the discrimination that South Koreans have with foreigners as a neighborhood. If we consider the situation with North Korea, political, social, all the problems, we we can know why this decision is influenced by North Korea. By they tend to have an intuition bias with foreigners and resign themselves to live next to them. Just they don't want to live next to a foreigner, a worker that comes from another country. Just because they infer that strangers may mean danger or something they need to worry about and interrupt their peace. Without searching something about them, if looking if they are friendship or something, just follow their intuition.